football game. I'm at the grocery store.
What?
I'm at the combination football game and grocery store.
Wait, you're at the football game
What?
and the grocery store?
I'm at the combination football game and grocery store. Groceries through Instacart, delivered to my door. I don't have to choose between football and the grocery store.
Kat Young and I decided that we would talk again last time we spoke and talked about her book. And this is an excellent book. If you're doing anything with essential oils, this is for beginners, how they are, a guide to what to do, how to use them, where they've come from. It's very well designed, laid out, the whole 9 yards. Even if you've done essential oils and you have other books, this is one to add to your library. Right now, what we're dealing with all across the planet is something that I think gives us a wider overview of how important it is to keep your immune system up. And this is something that will do that.
Well, thank you, Wendy, and thank you for all the good you do in the world. Your podcast, your reach out to people is really helpful, and you are so wonderful on the air that I'm grateful for you, and I know a lot of your listeners are too. So thank you for what you do.
I appreciate the compliment. Thank you. I think it's extraordinary that you have the documentation that says this was helpful. And I'm talking about the Qigong. So how'd that happen?
Way back when, I come from entertainment and show business. So I was in show business for 35, 40 years. And I held a lot of different jobs. I was a stage manager, an associate director, a director, a producer, a packager, an executive producer. And then finally, one of my last jobs was being an executive at Universal Studios in development. So I had a whole range of experience. And early on in my life, I had watched people die because they smoked and they were too stressed. And I thought, gee, if I'm going to live in show business here and work, I don't want to be, one of those early responders to death coming knocking on my door.
Right.
So I decided to study various different modalities, and that's when I got my first doctorate in hypnotherapy, and then I got another doctorate in natural healing, and then a third one in naturopathy. So I was putting all of that together, and I studied crystals, and I studied essential oils and Bach flowers. But unfortunately, and I did not know this, is I had them all in little files, and they were all not integrated fully into me until I had an experience where I had what they call a heart attack. There are various different kinds of heart attacks that you can have. Some are electrical, some are physical, some are from clogged arteries and things. So I happened to be at the Hollywood Bowl, walking up the hill, on my way, and I thought, this is a harder walk than it's ever been. Oh my gosh, I'm kind of short of breath. What is this? So then, I kind of dilly-dallied. A couple days later, I called my doctor, and she said, get to the ER immediately. So I did. I went there. I drove up, and they found that I had some blockage in my arteries. So they were going to put some stents in. All right, I did a stress test. I did all that. I was there for 2 days. So they put the stents in. Boom, boom. Up they are. And then you're out. And 3 days later, you're just fine. You're good as new. So that was great. And I wasn't overweight. I was always active, but I hadn't done any real regular concentrated exercise. What I had done is a little yoga here and then go out for margaritas, a little golf over here, and then go have a glass of wine.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of like, okay, this is nice. It wasn't serious enough for me to put into my life as like a regular thing. Like you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you do that. Well, that's how now a practice of Qigong and Tai Chi has become for me. But I had to learn it still the hard way. I mean, this is 2006 is when I had my first stents. And then I wrote a cookbook. I thought, all right, well, let me really, really use this and change my life so I can prevent this. I had the hubris to think that I could actually prevent my own, heart health here automatically overnight like a fairy wand. So what I did is I took some nutrition classes at Baylor University, and I learned about nutrition. I learned about different types of food and chemical balances and da-da-da. So I wrote Heart Easy, the Food Lover's Guide to Heart Healthy Living the Easy Way. And my thought in this whole thing is that I'll just take ordinary recipes that we love, like lasagna and pizza and shrimp and chicken, and I will change them up with different ingredients so that we have the same taste. We can have our favorite dishes and family recipes that we like, only I'm going to change the ingredients and make them healthier and less heart clogging, less heart stopping. Yeah, they would have less salt, less sugar, all this. So I have this whole book, and I taught all about this, and it was wonderful. And I felt better. And the byproduct is that you lose a little weight as well. And I never felt better in my life. Then in 2014, I started to have the same symptoms. I was walking up the hill of my house, and I had the same, shortness of breath in my chest. And oh no, what's this? So I went to the doctor. We went through all kinds of different things. And he says, well, it looks like maybe the other artery that they didn't stent back in '06 might be blocked. Huh. So we did the whole hospital thing, and I thought, okay, I'll be out tomorrow. It'll be fine. A couple days recovery. Boom, back to life. Well, they couldn't get through the main artery, and they said, wow, this is like, we're not going to get through this, and if she's going to live through this procedure, I got to get the big heart surgeons in. So they happened to be, and you were talking about right place at the right time, they happened to be right next door. They finished an operation. They walked into my OR, and there I was having a triple bypass, open heart surgery. There it was. They took veins out of my leg. Yeah, they excavate the veins out of the leg. They harvest them. Then they reattach 3 little veins around the damaged artery that was the problem, and it was causing all the issues that I was having. Mm-hmm. So I wake up like a day later, and there I am, all hooked up, and families around me looking pale and scared, and
yeah,
it was like I had a full week, but I had to cancel everything, obviously. So when you come back from a triple bypass, it's not easy. It's not like you're back up, sitting up on 2 weeks. I mean, your sternum, the front of you, has to recover. It's been sawed open, and they've stitched it together. Yeah. So you have not only the internal surgery, your heart hurts, everything hurts. They pump so many fluids into you, I went in and they put 20 pounds on me with fluids just in my body. So you've got that to deal with, and you're puffy. Now you're on painkillers. It's not fun. And the recovery is at least 6 weeks before you can even lift anything heavier than a marshmallow. Mm. So, yeah, and it is painful, and every little thing that you took for granted is now a big deal. You can't drive for 3 weeks. You can't do any of that. And you're always in pain. You're always dealing with, if I turn too fast that way. All right, so I decided, this is the end of this for me. I need to figure out what to do. And as I said, I had all my little healing modalities all in a nice little file cabinet, and I could go to them. But when I found Qigong, and this is when I began to do Qigong, because it's the first kind of gentle exercise I could do after my heart surgery. Mm-hmm. So I began to do a little bit more Qigong, and I began to do yoga, and I began to do Tai Chi. And this was pretty much basically online. And then I started to take some classes, and I really liked Qigong because it's an ancient form of movement that connects the mental, emotional, and the spiritual body. It connects all of the physical, the emotional, and spiritual pieces of ourselves, and it brings it into 1 hour or even 20 minutes of complete concentration and integration. And as I learned the power of this movement, I began to say, this is the missing link for me. I have all of my healing modalities that I practice and trust, but this Qigong is wonderful. Qi means energy, and Gong is skill or work. So it's energy work, energy skill that we use. And what that means is that we work with the energies outside of us, and we work with the energies within inside of us. The Chinese look at the body with 12 meridians, and those meridians are things like the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidney, the spleen, a thing called the triple burner. And all of these meridians, all of these energetic meridians flow through our hands, our knees, our feet, and from our head. They divide a lot of things, including the body and what we relate to, into three different domains that they call the dantians. So you have the upper dantian, the middle dantian, and the lower dantian. So when you think about moving energy from the upper to the lower, it's really a wonderful process, and you do it yourself. So combining movement with breathing, and you breathe in a flow that matches your movement. And when I teach it now, I always say, let the breath motivate the movement. And so when you are connected, and for the time that you are practicing, I like to do an hour. Mm-hmm. In the hours that I work, I am connected to my body, my soul, my mind, and I am there. I am present. I'm doing everything that every wise person on the earth has told us to do. It's the power of now. It's being here now. It's being fully present in the moment. There is no distraction. You are one with yourself, your body, mind, and spirit for the time that you are practicing. And the movements are gentle. That's why I could start it after my triple bypass. And I began to do this at least an hour a day. And I began to feel the difference. I could feel my different organ systems connecting better, not just to myself, not just to me, but also to each other. Now, all of a sudden, I am feeling on the physical level harmony. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling, because I'm paying attention to my systems. I am doing a movement that will stimulate the kidney chi or the liver chi. I'm doing a movement that is stimulating the heart chi or exercising the heart chi. Now, all of a sudden, my organs are working together. We are now truly one. And I found that Qigong, I went on to get my certification in this as a medical Qigong teacher. Mm-hmm. And the medical part just means we are focusing on the internal organs as well. And so I work from that kind of a healing being. And the byproducts are amazing. The roots of Qigong are for every martial art. From Qigong, the ancient Chinese trained the warriors. Yeah. When 5,000 years ago, they trained them in this mental, physical discipline. So when they went out onto the battlefield, and in China, if you know the history, they were on the battlefield a lot. So when they went on the battlefield, they were completely united in their body, mind, and soul, and they put everything into it. So when someone over in China won, I always think about, wow, okay, they must have really been good martial Qigong practitioners. Mm-hmm. So Qigong is the grandfather for Tai Chi, for any and every martial art there is. You will find in learning the Qigong movements that you can then go off into other martial arts. And what it is, it's just not, you see people in the park doing it in Asia and many times here now as well. And it's not just flapping your wings in the breeze. You are actually doing a movement. You are bringing your foot up as you move your hand across your body. You are bringing earth chi, earth energy up. You're delivering it to cosmic chi, and you're pushing it back down. You are recognizing that there is energy outside of you and inside of you, and you are working with it. Mm-hmm. So what you're going to have as a benefit from this is that your mental concentration is sharpened. The Qigong goes through the systems of your body, so you're giving yourself an internal energy massage. Your muscle tone is increased. Your balance improves.
Mm-hmm.
Your energy is stimulated and circulated throughout your body. The fluids in your body, your lymphatic system, your endocrine system are all stimulated by these gentle movements, and they begin to flow better. Your circulation is increased and balanced, and your heart is awakened and strengthened. Your liver and your kidney are refreshed, because everybody, if you follow the saying that energy flows where attention goes, you put your attention on your insides and your body. There is where the energy is going to go. And so every organ in your body is like, hey, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're paying attention to me.
It's about time.
Yay. Yeah. And so Qigong then for me became a way of life. So that in 2018, and I had been through the 2017 fires, the Thomas fire, and every house around me had burnt to the ground except mine. I had some damage in the back and the outside. But still, it's stressful. You're living in filth and dirt and, the gases that are coming from it. It's a mess. We're still in it now with all the construction and dirt and cement, dust and sawdust and noise. And so it was very stressful. And then in 18, I started having the feelings in my heart again. And I went, oh, no. I've done so good. And so I had a couple of moments of, oh, poor me. And then I went to the doctor, and he said, all right, we got to go in again, and we got to check this out now. Maybe it's just a stent. Maybe we have to do that. So here I am the night before, and I'll tell you what I did. I called up, I made plans. I made internment plans because I said, this is crazy. They have fixed everything they can fix. I must just have a bomb ticker, and I'm just going to have to deal with it. So I made plans that if this was my last night on Earth, I would be taken care of. And so it was, I took it seriously.
Yeah.
So I go in, and, you get there at 6:30 in the morning, and they get you all, taken care of and ready. And then at 8 o'clock, they wheeled me into the OR. And this time I was kind of awake. So I was in that twilighty kind of thing because they wanted to talk to me.
Right.
I don't need to have a conversation while you're working on my heart. I just didn't think we ought to have lattes in the OR. So anyway, they put the first camera up there, and because they wanted to take a look. And they go in from your groin all the way up through your body. And they had a little camera there, and they called it the spider cam. And he said, oh, my gosh, what's this? And he looked at his colleague, and they brought in a couple other people. Now, meanwhile, they've got two cardiac thoracic surgeons on standby. They're like in the next room in case, they find the same thing they did 5 years ago. Yeah. So, all right. So then he takes that camera out, and he puts another one out, and I've now nicknamed them like the monkey camera. So he puts the monkey camera up there, and he goes and he looks around, and they each do different things. They're little periscopy things. And he goes, wow. Now all of a sudden a crowd begins to form in the OR, and I'm there. You can ask me a question, but I'm a little dingy, So then I put a third camera up there. So now let's call this the dinosaur cam. So the dinosaur cam is up there. And then he's looking around, he's taking pictures, and this is the time where he says, bring up the films from 14. So all of a sudden on another monitor come the films that they did the triple bypass. Oh my Lord, he says. So they take that camera out, and they put another camera up. Now we have the donkey cam. So the donkey cam's up there, and he's looking around, and now the OR is filled. There's got to be about 15 people in there. They've come from miles around, and there they are. And I'm, kind of like, so we want to talk about this here.
I was going to say, aren't you curious yet? Because the first would have been where I'm like, whoa, maybe I need to pay attention.
Well, no, see, here's what I do. I go straight into meditation because I go in, okay, so if this is my last morning on earth, let me go peacefully. Let me
Okay.
I was just prepared because I wasn't, I mean, you know, you can't really, when you're all kind of like fuzzy and that twilighty stuff, you can answer, but your brain doesn't think to talk.
No.
So I couldn't say,
It sounds like you were walking the plank to the white light.
there you go. There you go. You know, and it's not a time to say, you know, could you pass me the mustard? So they're up there, and now they all come out, and it takes the camera out. The donkey cam comes out, and they try to patch me all up, and I'm thinking,
okay,
is that it? You know, is that it? What do we have? A little tea party up there? So there I go, and then they put you out, and then they you know, they give you a little bit more because they don't want you to be communicating with them. And so off you go, and the next thing I'm in the recovery room, and there you are, you're prone, and you have to stay there for about 4 hours while they put pressure on your groin to make sure that nothing explodes or, you know, you bleed out. So my doctor comes in, and he's ashen, and he looks at me and he said, I have never heard of this in my life. He said, I read about it in medical school. I've never seen it. It's never happened to me. I don't know any colleague that this has happened to, but your original artery reattached itself to your heart. That artery was clogged. It was torn. It was ripped. It was hanging by a thread. It has repaired itself. It is reattached. And so all those little veins and arteries that we attached and to bypass that artery are just sitting there like little limp balloons.
Wow.
They are not doing anything. They are, your artery has taken over, and it has said, hey, I'm back.
This is my job, darn it.
Exactly. You little pipsqueaks, get out of my way.
You don't know what you're
I'm
doing.
the main dog.
Yes.
Yeah. So then I was like, okay, so what do we do now? He said, I don't know. You know, maybe you'll go to the cardiac conventions with me, and I'll show your films, and we'll say, ladies and gentlemen, you know.
A superstar, okay. Yes.
I can pirouette with the best of them. So, okay, fine. But then, and literally, you know, I was able to then go into his office the next day, and you know, the staff just gave me a standing ovation. And I said, well, wait a second. This isn't about me. I swear to God, it's about Qigong. So let's thank some master 5,000 years ago for, you know, some Shaolin monk for creating this so that I'm here today and my artery self-healed. So I considered that to be like a real miracle. And I said, okay, now I have to put this to work. I have to tell people about this. I have to show them. So that's when I began to really get serious about teaching Qigong and getting people to do any little movement they can. You can watch it online. You can, I teach it a couple times a week here, and I'm going to do some online videos pretty soon.
Yay.
But everybody can do this. You can do it seated. You can do it standing. You can do it while you're, while you're on the bus going to work or however you do. It's a wonderful practice, and the benefits, well, you know, I'm walking proof of the benefits of this ancient Chinese movement, and it's not difficult.
What I think is so fantastic is that it's a very, for me, peaceful, calming, relaxing movement. And I wanted my mom, who has had a birth injury, and for her entire life, it affects her mobility. She can't raise her right arm over her head. And so when she looks, you look at her, you wouldn't know there's an issue, but she is very limited in some of the things that she can do. And I also wanted her to have something that would be a health routine that would help beyond just that physical look, but the internal, like you're talking, the internal organs. So online I found, and this is Judy Young, and it's the 8 pieces, and it's a Qigong. It's only 20 minutes, which is really, that's okay, that, you know, for getting somebody started. And the background she has is it's out in the open space. You hear the birds in the background. It's just very, very relaxing and soothing. And she also has the self-massage for the head and face. And with that, I thought, well, this is something that gets people started. And I went back today to check because we were getting ready, because I wanted to mention that this is a nice introduction. And it's I've seen people just in the last few hours going, I'm so glad I found this during this time. I really needed something, and this is so helpful. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are people who've just now discovered this. And that's what people are doing right now when we're going through all of this stuff, the fear, the chaos, the panic, the anxiety with something that's completely upheaved our normal routines and our way of life on so many levels. There's something about this that is so grounding and so helpful to say, okay, I'm in charge here, and this is what I can do to come back to center. And I think with your background and the things that you have been through, knowing that even with all of that, the arsenal of information you have that is all proactive health mentality, then this one thing was really it's the anchor of your health. In my way of thinking, this is the anchor. It's what sustains everything else. But you came to it in a way with having all of that available as well. Does that? I mean, I'm trying to say that everything you did had a purpose. It wasn't a mistake, and it wasn't just an afterthought. Everything you did adds up, and then putting this as the anchor, I think it puts it all centered. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. This made sense of everything else on a much deeper level. All of a sudden, with the Qigong practice, everything became one. Everything joined together and made a different kind of a sense, And when I do my Qigong practice, I can do it on many different levels now, as they talk about the alpha, beta, theta, and delta places of vibration and levels of depth you can go to. When you become skilled in this energy work, you can do something light in a park with other people and be aware of yourself, your practice, and theirs, or you can really take it into a very deep, deep, deep meditative state and concentrate on what you're working on. And you can send love and healing to yourself. You can extend that out. Every class I teach, we can have an intention, we can have a dedication, we can have an inclusion of other people in this so that our energy work has meaning and purpose. And it is for ourselves, but then when we take good care of ourselves, just like they tell you on the airplane, put your mask on first before you help anybody else. Do that. Put your mask on. Learn Qigong. Get your body functioning at its top ability, and you are going to be able to then help and be of service in the community, to your families, to your friends, and to your society much more effectively. And you can feel the differences. I feel it whenever I do my practice. I am now on purpose, centered. I have power and strength, and I haven't done it in any kind of a fake way. I haven't had a Red Bull or a shot of this or a shot of that. I absolutely have found that power within, and now I can reach it forward. And you mentioned the 8 brocades, and I think if anybody wants to do Qigong and just learn this, and you think in your mind you're too busy to do an hour, then do the 8 brocades. The 8 brocades are called the Badwa Jin. It is the 8 treasures, or like the 8 pieces of brocade. And if you think of it, you think, brocade, what is that? Well, they call it 8 silk weaving, 8 silken movements that weave a piece of cloth, and you are the piece of cloth. And so each brocade, each movement, and there are 8 of them, has to do with a certain part of the body. And they have fun names. I love Qigong because they've got really fun names. Separate heaven and earth is one of them. Wise owl gazes backwards. Sway the head and shake the tail. It's really fun. And then there's, and it's not all just calm little waving your hands around. I always say, let the breath initiate and motivate the movement. So if you breathe and you move your hands up, and you breathe and you move your hands down, and you push energy, it's like I like to use my Qigong practice as though I am pulling and pushing through taffy. Have your own metaphor. Is it jello? Is it kelp? Is it mud? But have a resistance, not an extensive resistance. Don't make this a huge workout, but just push and pull as though you are moving mass.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you increase the heat, the chi that you are working with, and you also get to feel that energy move around you and in you. So every breath isn't just, for the sake, let me get some air inside. It's like I take a breath, I bless that breath, I express that breath. And in the meditation, I sometimes do a thing where we do the 5 elements. We do earth and tree and water and metal and fire. We pay attention to the elements. This connects us to our earth. This connects us to our ecology. And when you do that, it changes the way you feel and act. It's amazing. It's all subtle, but it is so strong. I mean, I think, gee whiz, if it could train the warriors in China, what benefits can it show up in my life? I mean, my goodness, I'm not going to go out, fight a war, but every day we have some kind of a battle or an encounter that we deal with. So in Qigong, you choose peace, you choose subtlety, you choose movement, and you are centered in power. So you can't lose with the practice of Qigong, and it's very fun. At first, you'll kind of think, this is an awkward movement. But then when you get into the rhythm of it, stay with it, concentrate. And like I said, I'm going to develop my own videos pretty soon. But it's wonderful. I want the whole world to do this because we'll be healthier, we'll be more centered, we'll be more loving, we'll have more peace, we will experience more peace if we do this. And I think this is a Chinese thing. I'm grateful to the ancient Chinese and how it developed. I think it was very funny. I'll just tell you, a Shaolin monk one day was up in his cave way many years ago. And he was watching a snake and a crane do an interchange together. And so the snake would move back and the crane would step sideways. And so he was watching this interaction of these two animals. From that, he developed this system. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting that it came from nature and the movements became then. That's why they have kind of animal names. Dragon swimming is one of them, and they have these great, fabulous names. And I love to connect that way, and I love the origin. I think it's been carefully developed, and it is the core of every other martial art and practice in the world.
And that makes sense to me is because it connects with the very basic thing that we do, which is it's breathing. And every time when I do that 20-minute exercise, I'm yawning. So I know it's affecting my lungs. I know it's getting oxygen to my system, all the parts, because as I'm thinking, good grief, when I first started doing it, I couldn't stop yawning. And it was just that thing of, okay, it's working. That's what and in the 8 brocades, the 8 pieces, the crane spreading its wing is one of the ones, the animal connections there that it has. But,
yes.
With this, it's so simple, and it's when you first do it, you think, well, that's not much. But then when you actually do, repeat the moves, and you feel the result. And when you're saying you have do some resistance, feel yourself resisting, because then you're actually the muscles and your body is responding to that sense of resistance, and you're putting more chi, more energetic vitality, essence, whatever, into it. And it's really amazing. So for me, it was a way of just kind of calming and centering. And then when I felt myself yawning, I thought, okay, well, this is doing more than I think it is, so I'm going to keep it up.
Exactly. And when you approach something like Qigong or Tai Chi, it's, Tai Chi is really choreographed Qigong. So you take those movements, and Qigong is just the basics, and you can. I do both. I do Qigong, Tai Chi, and yoga, and I find that those really blend nicely. The benefits of Qigong are amazing. I think we went through them, and they're terrific. All of your systems become in balance, and when you do it, you just think, nothing is wrong. I cannot do anything wrong. It's just fine. I'm learning. So if you don't have it down exactly, it's fine. Do it your own way. Do it your own way. After repeating it and watching someone, you're going to get the movement, and then do it in layers. Do it in stages. Just learn the basic movements. Do it your way. See how your balance improves. You can start seated if you want to, and then work up. And then you'll find yourself saying, okay, now, since I know this movement, let me try the breath with it. What if my breath, with it, I was able to then complete the movement? And then on my inhale and my exhale. So then you begin to coordinate the inside and outside. And you're going to find that when you breathe from, we call it the middle dantian, which is below the heart, you breathe from your diaphragm. When you breathe from there, then you're probably going to get a little lightheaded initially, because that's not where most of us breathe from. But when you find yourself in a stressful position, you'll say, okay, breathe. And then you'll know that breathing from that place, from that dantian, from your middle where your power is, you breathe from that place, it's going to change the way you react to a situation, and so that you can respond instead of react. And that's what we're trying to do with Qigong, is to get us centered in mind, body, and soul, so that our intention and our actions match. We suddenly become congruent. And with that, that's your power. That's your ultimate goal in this life. You can, sit and meditate as long as you want to, but until you integrate your intention with your action, you won't be congruent, and so you'll always feel out of balance. And that's why I like this practice, because you don't have to, you don't have to follow a guru. You are the guru when you practice Qigong.
Well, the other thing now that people are struggling with is diet, and that, being limited on what you can get at a certain time, or trying to balance that with things you are supposed to be eating versus the things you are drawn to eat. Well, there are some limitations right now. And you wrote the Food Lover's Guide to Heart Healthy Eating. How did that, after you've had these experiences now, would you change anything in that book?
Well, my intention for the book was to take our family recipes and change them up to make them healthier. I think it was Margaret Mead that said, it's easier to get a person to change their religion than it is to get them to change their diet.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So, if you, as I have a very good friend who's a writer, and she said, you will have to pry that stick of butter out of my cold dead hand.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, we'll see that, and bodies react differently. What I've seen is that each body reacts very differently, but I think that on the average, for the most part, we get rid of the white flours that have no real, all the ingredients in them, the niacin and the iron, that's been re-added to it. So stick with whole wheat and whole grain products. Mm-hmm. Stick with vegetables, legumes, beans and things. Stick with those. Forget the fried foods. If you're going to have a pizza, you're putting all that saturated fat of cheap cheese into your body. And, if we ate more sensibly, like say the French do, and you have, instead of a dessert at the end, you have a little piece of cheese and some fruit, but you don't have these big huge platters that we have, and you don't stuff your crust with cheese as well. Be sensible. You put all that crap into your body. What's your body going to do? It's going to break down internally. It's just study energy systems, and you say, all right, if I give my body healthy food that's easy to digest and process, then I'm going to have a lot more energy left over for myself. If I eat crap and sugar and dairy and fats, then my body's going to have to work really, really hard to get rid of all those and break those down and send them out or send them to my thighs. My poor body's going to work at that as opposed to doing what I need it to do, which is pay attention to myself, raise my family, take care of my husband, exercise, and worry about my health. I mean, I think that this whole business of healthcare in this country could be solved if we changed our diets and we all started doing a little bit more exercise.
Yeah.
And it's a simple equation. Let's eat like people did in the old days. Eat your biggest meal at lunch and have that, and then let your body relax for the rest of the day and not stuff it full of cookies and candy. And I go to shopping and I see what people have in their carts, and it breaks my heart because I think you're not going to have a good life. Yeah, you're going to like those M&Ms later, but so what? It's an instantaneous, for the moment, in that moment satisfaction. But your body is going to pay the price for it for the next 24 hours and then for the rest of your life. So a little bit, you can do a little tiny hint, just a taste. You're crazy for tiramisu? Have a bite of somebody else's, but don't order your own slice.
Okay.
So it's, you have to get into management, self-management.
Okay, so that goes into your hypnotherapy practice, because for someone who would need a little bit of an assist, you do, in just, the website, cacyoung.com, talk about some of the things that you help people with, which is managing weight control, smoking cessation, behavior mod, and all that, stress. And so here it is. This stuff that you have lived plays a part in all of the things, all of the assets that you have worked hard to earn some kind of recognition for being an authority in. And so it's just amazing how everything in your life seems to dovetail. As you add one other issue of interest, then you add another element of something where you can apply it and become a part of a lifestyle. So it isn't just, thumbing through the library and going, oh, that's a neat book. It's going, well, and that book fits here, and this is how I play this out. I just think it's fabulous the way that all of the stuff that you have done plays a very important part in the things that you bring to the equation, like with your hypnotherapy, doing that, and the books that you have written and that you've worked on, and then the Qigong as this foundation, as a support to help your immune system be resilient. And I think a lot of us may have those kinds of factors that play into our lives that we aren't even aware of how everything is a bridge or a piece or an some way, shape, or form, an accent to the other elements of our life. And I don't know, just looking at all of the things that you do, I think it's amazing that you have developed these techniques and lived them out, because all of a sudden they became very necessary.
Well, they did. And when I got the proof, I mean, it was really a huge wake-up call. My heart situations, I have since found that I have some congenital issues that kind of like an overriding problem. But I'm no longer worried about it, because I'm doing the best I can with my food choices. I'm doing the best I can with my exercise. And so it brings you to a plateau, I will say, of contentment. And that's kind of all we can want to do. I know that I have the power to be able to handle any crisis, any situation, because I know how to go within and find that extra energy. I know that now, and that's an extraordinary place to be, and everybody can achieve it. Nothing I've done is really out of the ordinary. It is something everybody can do if we will just do it. One of the things I would say, get your butt up off the couch, put your phones down, get back to basics. And that's what I think was happening here in our COVID crisis, is that people are having to go back and figure out how to connect with other people, how to work out the problems that we have. Being with people, it's easy to be isolated in a sense. You get lonely, and perhaps your psychological system breaks down when you're alone so much. But now that we're having to interact with people, I mean, isn't community what it's all about? And it doesn't have to be just a community by phone. It's a community that we are now helping. We're helping each other. We're reaching out. We're figuring out this great lesson. How do I stay safe and still help my neighbor? How do I protect myself? This is a great lesson for everybody. It is absolute time to learn Qigong, because that's what this is about. Put your mask on first and then help the rest of the passengers on the plane. So I kind of enjoy this time on a spiritual sense because of the lessons and the gifts we're all getting. And we can all pitch in and help. If you are immune suppressed, then reach out and ask for help. If you are able to help, then protect yourself. Wear gloves and make yourself a mask and take every precaution you have. I think part of the news from the East Coast is that, hey, don't wear a mask, it doesn't help. Well, it does. And I disagree with all that. And I think what that is a sense of protection against the availability of them. Mm-hmm. But make your own. Make your own. Or if you've got, sewing, or your neighbor can sew, make something, protect your face. Is it going to be 100% perfect? Well, keep your 6 feet distance, and it will. Mm-hmm. Don't think that you are not, you are capable of catching this, and it's a very mean virus. And everybody reacts differently to it. Everybody's going to have a different reaction, and for some people it's a little cough and sneezes and they're good to go, and others it has taken their life. So I think we have to understand that we're dealing with a monster out there and protect ourselves, but we can handle it. But I say, wear your gloves, wear your mask, do something. There's a wonderful video out right now of a healthcare worker showing you how to clean your groceries and how to bring them into your house so that you don't also contaminate your counters and
right.
your closets.
Right.
So the diligence that we are paying to taking care of ourselves is a good lesson.
Well, I think that's
part
of it.
Good look.
I think it might, the timely thing too. And then when you look at the aerial views of how much which is amazing, looking at the skies, and the earth can breathe because all the toxins that we had been spewing into the system, where China, the U.S., where all of our factories and our cars and all that, all of a sudden the skies don't have the big red zones that they usually have. So this is more than just a human thing. It's a planet thing. And it's a wake up call on many levels of, is this the lifestyle that we want to continue? Because it's unsustainable. And so those of us who are going to have to get through different hardships of whatever it is, not being able to work, and that's massive, to also having health issues on top of that. This is a set. I think it's a reset of where are we going and what are we doing and what do we hope for the future. I also went back to your page. So many books. I mean, we've talked about the Chi Stone Power before. We've talked about the crystal healing and the Bach flower remedies. What we haven't talked about, which I think is a really good one for right now, is Supreme Healing. And that's another book in your arsenal that I think addresses right now, helping to basically readdress the importance of having a functioning immune system. And this is, it's mind, body, spirit. It's all connected. And what we're looking at outside is saying we have a toxic environment all over the planet. We have a toxic environment that we need to address now before it goes over the edge and we can't recover. So I think this is an opportunity. Yes, it's a crisis, and yes, it's a tragedy. And on many levels, it's horrific because it's taking things that we thought were, I think, infallible and completely immune to something like this and saying, no, it isn't, and breaking them. And so here we come back from our own center and say, well, what can I do to change this? How can I shift? And that's why I went into your archives to see what else would be appropriate for right now. And the Supreme Healing was the one that really addressed it, I think.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Supreme Healing is a whole explanation of how all of this works, how healing works within your body, and what you can do about it, and how you can change it. Again, it's a spiritual practice, but I think too that, Mother Nature was kind of up there like, I have been warning you people that you're overdoing it, and some of you listen, some of you don't. But here's a little thing. Here's what I can do. So she gives us this little coronavirus and says, now let's see what you all do with that. And, her last word is, don't make me come down there. Because the next thing, is that the meltdown, is that it's too hot to live here. Mm-hmm. That's the next thing. So it's a warning to say, okay, are y'all paying attention? Because you can fix this. But you have to act now and quit being sissies and quit thinking, oh, well, it's going to go to the next generation. No, you have to do it. You have to do it now. And here's a little hint of what that's going to look like. I mean, yes, bicycles are great transportation, but we have to get to the factories, and we have to get stopping all the clothing buying that we're buying that's putting toxic dyes into all the rivers in India. We have to get serious about our waste. We have to get serious about our plastic. We have to take more time to live and less time to run around like a frantic busy bee, and just take more time at home, more quiet, solid time, because Mother Nature is saying, I can make y'all go back to the huts in an instant.
Right.
You guys are going to be working with adobe and straw. So just, get this point and get it now. And I think that we have to realize the seriousness of this crisis on so many levels. It's not just something that's going to make you sick, but it's about, we have made ourselves sick. How do you form a relationship with your family where you can stay together and breathe together and help each other without having the TV on and the phones and the games? Let's just be people. How about we sing? How about we play a game together? How about we make something? How about we connect with each other? I mean, we're a family for a reason. Give it purpose.
You have so many, I think, gifts and so many abilities that you have been able to hone. You're in an area that is not known for that inner centering because of California being seen as more Hollywood, more external, show me what you've got, the bigger, the better, everything's all oversized and flamboyant, how does that, I think you're in the right place. I think what you bring to the equation is very important to help people on the other end of that spectrum going, I'm here because it's something I'm called to do, but that isn't my lifestyle. I don't have to be out loud and living large to prove that I have worth and value. Do you understand? You obviously know this, but it's like total opposite ends of the spectrum. What you bring to the equation is that balance and saying, hey, get back to the who of you, which is inside, rather than the external application. That, I think, is important to know, that in your environment, everything around you is just the opposite. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I think so. And I think that it just baffles me that people are fascinated with the inner lives of the Kardashians. Yeah. I just cannot believe that anybody wastes time watching them. I mean, why? What do you learn from that? But they're very popular, and they obviously made a lot of money in this. But I also see the other thing that has happened in my industry and in television is that, stars used to walk in and be, I'm Queen of the Hop, I am the king, and everybody had to worship you. And rock stars were like that too. Now, you go to a concert, and Taylor Swift is meeting with fans before the concert. People are touching hands. I mean, not right now, of course, but, and there's a connection. And stars are not jerks like they used to be when I first started in the industry. They were prima donnas. They were this and that. Get me this, hand me this, da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
And now everybody comes to work. They know their lines. They worked it out. They've probably been to the gym. They're not, they're not there to waste your time. They're there to work together. So the working atmosphere has changed. I mean, it used to be, you could be sloppy drunk or loaded, and I've got stories about being with the rock and roll bands, back in the day when we did in concert for ABC. I got those stories. But now people are healthier. They're not snorting cocaine. They're sipping a green shake. So it's changed because people realize I cannot sustain my life doing this.
Right.
And all you have to do is have a couple people your own age drop dead around you, and you get that lesson. So then you have to say, anybody with any reflective ability says, okay, then what is my purpose in this? What is my role since I've learned this lesson? And that's what I think we're all learning. I would like to say that we have something catastrophic happen, or we witness that, and then we turn it around. How can this help me serve the world? Because it's all about service. It's all about ancient Buddhist principles, which tell people you are here to purify yourself and then serve the world. And that's what, the Grail myth was about. Who do I serve? How does this work? Because we don't get out of this lifetime just being selfish. We have to work into a community that we actually do something for. And we do it with our talents. We do it with our talents. Some people love to serve online and help the homeless and feed them. That's wonderful. Some people are nurses and are, God knows, they're being our heroes right now in the medical area. Some people fight fires. We all do something in our life. Even some of the very, very wealthy who don't need to do anything to make a living and can live a lavish lifestyle, they're finding themselves hollow and looking to a guru right now. How can I feel better? People are recognizing that, and so we're changing. And as we change, we lift our vibration of this planet and each other a little bit higher. We all go up. And that's what's going to stop wars. It isn't the leaders that have all created the revolution. It's always been the people. So if we want a better world, we have to do it. We can't wait for somebody to come in on a white horse and change things. We've seen how that works. So now we have to say, what do we want? How do we want the quality of our country? What are the principles and values we want to live by? And what do we want to leave for our children? That's going to motivate us into action. And that's how we're going to start living. Because after the COVID virus here, and after it continues to cull people out of it, we're going to have to say, okay, what do we want now? Because life is really temporary.
Life before and after. What I remember, and I will remember for quite some time, the doctors departing the plane, the Cuban doctors who went to Italy, and then most recently New York, the first responders there getting that 2-minute standing, the ovation, saying, these are the heroes, these are the leaders, and these are the people that we value, and we don't want to lose them, and we don't want to say that any of them has any less worth, because just because they aren't a politician and somebody who's been ascribed as a leader doesn't mean they don't have value. They are the ones who are saving us, who are rescuing us, and who are inspiring us to bring forth a better picture for the next after this crisis moves forward. I really appreciate your information, and I know you have a private practice and people can connect with you. CACYoung is the website.com if you're listening, and just do what you're doing, and I'm looking forward to your videos of Qigong.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Everything takes time, so I will, I'll be getting those out, but I think they're necessary, and And I just want people to start practicing it. If anything I can leave behind in this lifetime, it's a toolkit to make yourself the best you can be from the inside out. And then you are much more valuable to the rest of the world.
Thank you. And thank you for listening.
Ay, mija, abuelita's on her way and I still need to shop for the party.
No worries. Let's order through Instacart.
¿Insta qué?
Sí, Emma. We can order groceries and more online and get everything delivered in as fast as an hour.
Everything for dinner? Carne, tortillas, limas, plátanos.
Claro. Anything else?
Just make sure the plátanos are ripe.
Get groceries delivered same day with Instacart so you have more time for family. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply.
Instacart shoppers know groceries. They know that you can't make guacamole with rock-hard avocados. They know how to quickly find those peanut butter pretzels you can never find. And they keep you in the know by giving you updates about your order along the way. Let Instacart shoppers help take shopping off your plate so you can get time and energy back for what really matters. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply. Instacart. Add life to cart.